Hey everybody, it's Dr. V. I'm back here with your twin flame reading for the week of July 22nd through the 29th. Spirit, please use me as a clear channel for communication. May the messages that come through be in the highest good of all those concerned. Thank you to everybody who's liked, subscribed, commented, shared, etc. I really just love and appreciate all of your support and all of your exchanges and just everything. Just being here with you on this journey is wonderful. I love you all so much. I wanted to say, if you want to book a private reading, all of the information on how to do that is in the description box below, as well as by clicking on the cover photo of the channel. You'll see some links in the lower right corner that will take you there. If you're going to book a reading with me, please be sure that you carefully read the descriptions of what you're getting so that you're not surprised or that you're not expecting something other than what is available. So here we go. Spirit, please use me as a clear channel for communication. May the messages that come through be in the highest good of all those concerned. All right, so this is the Divine Feminine, Divine Masculine Reunited deck by Christabel Jessica. So we're just going to jump right in. The energy that the Divine Masculine is bringing in right now is Achilles. So you guys are familiar with that story. Achilles was a god he was given immortality by a god, I think it was Zeus, that held him by the heel, the Achilles tendon, and dipped him in immortality juice. The only part of him that was vulnerable was his heel. And of course, when his enemies became aware of that, they used that as a weapon. They went for that part of him. So a lot of masculines tend to see vulnerability as a weakness. It's something that they see can often see as a weakness, as something that they want to avoid. They don't want their vulnerabilities to be exploited, and so they tend to avoid that. Well, they're coming into this energy of understanding that vulnerability is not a weakness, it's actually a strength. And they're learning how to navigate with being strong and being vulnerable at the same time, that those two things are not mutually exclusive. So that's the energy that they're bringing in. The feminines are bringing in the goddess of sensuality. So feminines could be really working on healing any old sexual traumas, any sexual pain, anything that has caused them to be disconnected from their full-bodied sensual experience. This could be literally just learning how to be in a sensual space and enjoying that. Sensuality is not just sex. It definitely can be connected to sex, but it's not just sex. It can also be literally being in the space of understanding that everything, living from engaging from all your senses, listening carefully, tasting, smelling, touching, seeing, feeling, all of those things. That is a sensual experience. You can be very sensual and it doesn't have to be sexual. And that's what the feminines are really bringing in right now. Now, we are working through codependence. Codependence can be any sort of addictive behavior. So if you have substance use issues, if you have negative belief systems that you're addicted to, if you're addicted to feeling sadness, if you're addicted to feeling bad, if you're any of those things, codependent energy is any kind of energy that keeps us in a space that is based on need. It's based on not believing that we're worthy of love. It can be any of those energies. So that is an energy that is coming up right now to be healed for a lot of people. If you haven't read the book, I think it's The Language of Letting Go. It's a book on codependence. We actually are our society, our world is very much operates from a codependent lens, so it's not surprising that energy is coming up to be healed. So if you have ever felt like, I can't live without this person, or they can't live without me, or I can't set boundaries because then this person might reject me, if any of that kind of energy is present, it's something that's coming up to be healed right now. Now, the light side of this connection is transcendence. This is a number 2, by the way, and a 1, which 2 plus 1 is 3, and a 3 here, so we've got repetitive 3s. So if you have an interest in looking up angel numbers, look up 3s or 33. So transcendence, this is about rising above. This is about, and that's the purpose of a divine connection. That's the purpose of twin flame connections, soulmate connections, divine love. It's about transcending. It's about rising above. Transcendence is about getting out of our own way. It's about getting, literally stepping up and rising into who we are meant to be. When I say things about divine love, I'm not talking about in any way, shape, or form about spiritual bypassing, okay? Because that's crap. I am not in any way, shape, or form advocating taking this spiritual bypassing way, which means that you don't have to feel that. That is not what I'm talking about. Transcendence is about being able to feel it and go above it. So it's about experiencing our human selves, not judging it, but also being able to rise above it, to not be bound by any kind of lower level energies, that we set ourselves free from circumstances, from experiences that don't serve us any longer. It's literally about learning how to rise above and become our divine selves, having a human experience. Again, that doesn't mean that you're perfect. It doesn't mean that you don't make mistakes. It doesn't mean that you don't ever go into lower level energies. We all do. It's just about learning how to transcend and how to rise above and how to master those experiences instead of letting those experiences constantly master us. So let me move this aside, and we're going to look a little bit deeper into what is going on with this connection. And we're going to use the Numinous Tarot by Noel Heimel. You can buy this deck. I purchased it and it was delivered in less than a week. So I am definitely a fan of this deck. So let's look at the connective energies between the twin flames right now. So what is connecting the two of you? Strength, the World in reverse, and the Hermit. Wow, all major arcanas. That's impressive. So a lot of big energies, which again doesn't surprise me because we've got some intense moon activity that's happening right now. So if you're feeling a lot of intensity, that's why. There's a lot of intensity that's happening. Lunar, there's things, retrogrades. I'm not an astrologist, so I'm not an expert, but I definitely am familiar and I can feel the energies. So be mindful of that. But there's big energies that are connecting you right now. There's strength. This is people becoming, engaging in self-mastery, taking back their power, standing in their own truth. And it's a really strong, powerful energy. The Strength card is like, literally to me, it is a card of self-mastery. It's a card of recognizing that we don't have to be like tossed around by every experience that comes our way, that we can literally go into our own strength. We can transcend, we can be our best selves regardless of what's going on, that we have strength, we have power, we take back our power, we speak our truth, we stand in our truth. It's a very beautiful energy. The World is in reverse, and so it's talking about there's some cycles that need to complete that haven't completed. There was an unsatisfactory ending. There may be some of you whose connection went into separation, or you disconnected from each other, and there was no closure. Somebody might have just blocked you out of nowhere, and you're like, what the hell is that about? Like, I don't even know what happened. It's like one day everything seemed okay, and the next day it was like they just disappeared. I haven't heard from them. And so there's some energy of that, that things are not complete yet. Now, I will say that closure is an inside job, okay? You have to do your own work to get closure. Sometimes people will never come back, and I'm not saying that that's the case, but there are times, I'm not saying that's the case in this situation. There may be some connections that will come back, and that you will be able to achieve that closure and have that conversation. But what I'm saying is that when I say closure is an inside job, is that what is it, depending on the nature of the situation, what is it that they can possibly say that would give you closure? What could be said that would make things okay, that would make you feel like everything is all right now? Sometimes you just have to make peace with yourself about a situation. You can't keep hoping that somebody's going to come back and apologize and make things okay. That may not happen. And then if that is the case, then you have to find peace and closure and close this for yourself in a meaningful way. Now we have the Hermit card here. The Hermit card is about someone or both people that have gone within. So you may be in a space where you have really just gone within, and you're self-reflecting. You're spending a lot of time in introspection, doing your own work, meditating more, you know, literally in that energy of really being in this space of doing your own work. Maybe you've sought spiritual counsel, maybe you're reading more spiritual books, maybe you've just gone, whatever that is, both of you are in this space of really being in introspection and trying to engage in self-knowledge so that you can master this strength and who you are. So what is the Divine Feminine bringing to the connection? The Nine of Vials in reverse, the Two of Tomes in reverse, and the Nine of Bells. So the Nine of Vials in the upright is wishes fulfilled. In the reverse, it's obviously not that. It's like the Nine of Vials in reverse is somebody who doesn't feel like their wishes are being fulfilled. It's like this is someone who may be saying they want something, but really truly they want something different. This is someone too who can be like maybe feeling pressure from family, from society, who maybe they're told they're supposed to want something that they don't really want. It's somebody who is like, well, why wouldn't you want to get married and have kids? And this person's like, well, I really don't want to. So the Divine Feminine is in this energy of really trying to come to their own truth, really trying to come to terms with what is it that they want. Maybe it's that you have been told that you should want X, Y, and Z, and you've kind of bought into that. But when you get really get really going within to this introspective space, you realize that you really want something different than what you've thought. It could be that you have said, well, I don't really need to have the traditional things like engagement and marriage. I don't really need to have that to feel complete with my partner. And then you're starting to understand that that really is what you want. And once you get clear about that, you're starting to understand. So this is what I'm getting is the feminines are really in the space of doing the internal work to figure out what it is that they want, as opposed to what they've been told that they should want, what other people have put on them, what maybe they've bought into that they've realized that isn't actually what they truly want, and now they're kind of coming into their own understanding. So this Two of Tomes in reverse, saying that the feminines are out of balance. Maybe you've been too focused on work. Maybe you've been doing too much in the material world. You could be struggling financially, maybe having to put in extra hours at work because you're not feeling like you're financially stable. But this is definitely an imbalance, okay? So an imbalance materially, it's time to get into balance within. This could be that you have not been physically active. Maybe you've been in this hermit mode and you haven't been going to the gym, or you haven't been exercising, or you haven't been taking care of yourself. This is a call to come into balance within, okay? That you need to really get in alignment spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. That's what this card is saying. The feminines are out of balance right now. Get yourself in balance. Now this Nine of Bells card, this is what would be the Nine of Swords in the traditional tarot. It's a card of anxiety. This is a card of overthinking. This is a card of being just, again, kind of trapped in your head. Swords are thoughts, okay? Swords are about being in mental space. So this is being trapped in a mental prison of your own making. So the feminines are really bringing in this energy to really feeling like could be a lot of extreme emotions that are coming up. You may be purging right now emotionally. You may be feeling a lot of intense emotional experience, a lot of intense thoughts, emotions. That's what the feminine's bringing in. And it's not a bad thing, of course. We definitely want to purge. We want to feel. But it's definitely not making it bigger than it really is, okay? So really be careful about that, about making it bigger than it really is, in that sense that your feelings are real, your pain is real, your experiences are real, but let's not make it, let's recognize that sometimes our emotions can make us feel like things are bigger than they really are, okay? So it's not to say, again, not diminishing your experiences, not saying that your pain isn't real. But let's be mindful that we're not making it any bigger than it needs to be. So what is the masculine bringing in? The Visionary in reverse, the Creator of Bells, and the Moon. There's a lot of major arcana that is showing up here today. That's 6 cards. We've 9 cards in this spread, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the 9 are major arcana. That is a big deal. There's a lot of big energy. Just be prepared. Be prepared. this week feels like it could be very intense. So make sure you're taking care of yourself. Make sure that you are eating healthy, you're taking care, you're sleeping, you're doing all the things that you need to do. Speaking of which, I just took a sip of water. Make sure you're drinking a lot of water. All of those things. Really take care of yourself because there's a lot of big energies at play right now. So we've got the Visionary in reverse. The Divine Masculines are bringing in this maybe tending toward an energy of being a little bit over controlling. This could be that they are definitely needing a spiritual shift, okay? It could be that they are feeling trapped right now. It could be that the Divine Masculines are feeling trapped and they need to break free. They need to get out of their situation. It could be that they're just really seeing things from a limited perspective, like it has to be X, Y, and Z. It can't be other ways. That they're not really seeing the bigger picture because they're trying to understand things from a limited perspective. They're not being visionary. They're not seeing the bigger picture. They're seeing things from a very limited perspective right now. And it could be that they're just feeling a lot of fear around that. That it could be that fear is what is causing them to see things from such a limited perspective. They're bringing in this Creator of Bells, okay? That they're coming into balance. They are coming into balance. They are not quite there yet because they're this Visionary in reverse, but they are coming into a space of coming into balance, seeing the things more accurately, being able to speak their truth more honestly. They are definitely in a space of kind of seeing the saying, not seeing the forest for the trees. Now they're starting to get some perspective. It's like they're coming into an energy of having taken a step back and seeing things a little bit more clearly. They're learning to become more boundaried, not being influenced by other people's experiences, by what other people are imposing upon them. They're becoming more honest and authentic in who they are as they get out of this upside down, controlling, narrow-minded kind of energy. As they become more spiritually aware, it's shifting that into becoming more authentic and more able to see things as they are. Now, part of that is because they're starting to step into this moon energy, which is about intuition. It's about starting to see things, seeing a little bit more through the mystery. That they are understanding that there's more at play than what they think, that there's magic at hand, the universe is working, that they're seeing more of the mystery of life, if that makes sense. It's like they're starting, before, it could be that this spiritual narrow-mindedness was that like, well, it has to be X, Y, and Z because this is what I believe and this is what I've been taught and this is how it's always been. And now they're starting to see more of the mystery, that they're starting to see that there are forces at play that they perhaps were not aware of, they didn't understand before. Now they're starting to see it. Now they're starting to get it. Now they're starting to see like there are things that just defy explanation, that sometimes we don't understand it because we're not meant to understand it, that there are angels and there are forces and there are things that are just bigger than what we thought. And it could be even that they're understanding now, like perhaps they were a person who didn't understand or didn't believe in past lives or didn't believe in soul connections or didn't believe in any of that. And now they're starting to see like this is bigger than what I understood it to be. They're starting to engage with the mystery a little bit more. And as they do that, it helps them to see things a little more clearly. So I'm going to move these aside. And we're going to look at what is ahead for this connection this week. So, Spirit, what is ahead for the Twin Flame connection this week? Seven of Bells. Explorer of Vials. Wow. Four of Candles in reverse. The Four of Wands, guys. That's the Twin Flame, one of the Twin Flame confirmation cards. Of course, it's in reverse right now, so that could mean something different, but it's to me that's a positive. The Seven of Bells is like this card is saying they have begun to the connection has begun to move forward. Okay, it's been stuck for a while. It's been stagnant. This is somebody who has started to take steps away from previous situations. So it could be somebody that is, again, this is moving forward from different situations. So it could be that spiritually spiritually progressing, okay? So this is like the Seven of Swords in the traditional tarot. So this is saying that you're not fully out of the woods yet, okay? You could fall back into old cycles and old belief systems, but now you're starting to understand it, okay? So it's like now people are starting to understand where other people have imposed their will upon them, and now they're starting, or belief systems or power structures. It's not to say that you won't fall prey to it again. It's not to say that you won't fall into old like codependent patterns or those kind of old limiting belief systems, but you're not going to be, you'll see it as it's happening. I hope that is making sense. So it's sort of like that energy of when you start to recognize your patterns, you start to recognize, okay, I have a tendency to do X, Y, and Z, and you know, that kind of energy that you might want to where you've not had insight before, and now you're starting to see it where you're like, oh yeah, this is one of my triggers, this is one of my things. So it's definitely, people are becoming more and more aware, and not necessarily that you're not going to fall victim to it, not necessarily that saying that you're not going to go into that energy. However, you are less likely to get stuck in it. You're going to see it and be able to master it, okay? So this Explorer of Vials card is somebody that's like, look, this is insight, this is awareness, understanding of emotions, of the relationships. I'm really getting this understanding of patterns. With these two cards together, I'm really getting this understanding of patterns. Things that you have done in the past, that you have engaged in the past, that you have seen, but now you're starting to understand it. You're like, okay, I get it. I engage in this particular way because I have had this experience in the past, and this is what I've learned, and this is what that's what I'm what's coming through very clearly. It's literally understanding feelings and coming into a space of self-mastery, looking, kind of overcoming, where you're not in the space of, if you look at this character, it's like sitting on the top of the jellyfish. If you're on top of the jellyfish, you won't get stung. I don't know if you remember that from Finding Nemo, where they're like bouncing through this jellyfish, and as long as they're on the top, and as long as they're like on the top, they're not getting stung. And that's what this is saying, is rising above that transcendence card that came up earlier. Understanding, rising above, not getting stung by the same old, breaking patterns. That is a really positive energy. I really feel like for a lot of you that these moon cycles and the full moon that's coming up this week will be an opportunity for you to really rise above those old emotional patterns, and to not be in the same old story, like not continuing the same pattern, the same issues that have been present in the past. With the Four of Candles coming up, this is saying it's time to start acknowledging the little things along the way, okay? It's saying, look, you have had victories, even if you don't feel like it, even if you don't feel like you have been able to fully rise above, okay? It's saying you're understanding that you are, even a little victory is a victory. Even one small step is a step. So even if it's like, I've taken 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, well, you're still 1 step ahead than you were before. This is saying, look, take a moment to celebrate what you have overcome, what you have mastered, what you have learned along this journey. I really get that this week is going to be a great week for insights, for transformation, for people understanding who they are and what they've learned along the way, and really celebrating those victories instead of being in a space of focusing on what you don't have, okay? This is literally saying, look, I've come really far. I don't fall prey to these things. Like I see it, maybe I do, but maybe instead of staying in a situation that previously would have taken you 6 months to get out of it, now you're seeing it in 6 weeks, or now you're seeing it in 6 days, or even seeing it right off the top. And it's like, sure, you may go into things, you may get caught up in some old cycles as you were before, but now you're starting to understand that you can break it and get out of it a lot quicker than before, where you would get caught up and stay stuck in it, okay? So this is like, look, see where you've been and how far you've come. So move this aside, and I want to use the what is this deck? Oracle of Shadows and Light to see some what current blocks are in place, okay? So current blocks. The Power of 3 and the Winged Seer. The Power of 3. Interesting. It's interesting because they look almost the exact same, like their facial expressions. It's interesting. So I'm seeing some mirroring happening here. Very interesting cards. The Power of 3 is about, to me, this speaks to like the Trinity, not Trinity in the Matrix, but you know, the three Father's, what is it? Father, Son, Holy Spirit, the divine feminine, divine masculine, divine love. So it's like literally I'm seeing like that Trinity energy, which is I see this as a very positive sign. This, because it's in the block space, it's saying that there are some things that we have to, that there are threes that we need to, oh, and we got threes earlier. Holy cow. Okay, so we need to look at that. We need to really be mindful. And then of course we have 9, which is 3, 3, and 3. This energy for me is saying that because it's in the block, that someone is still experiencing block. Someone in this divine connection, the divine feminine, divine masculine, Holy Spirit, God, divine love, whatever, however you want to see that, is someone is still blocked and it's still blocking this connection. However, it's like, look at this, look at the magical aspect. Stay grounded in the physical, but also look at the magical aspect, okay? And I'm getting this because the divine masculine is kind of in that energy of starting to see the magic at play. And it could be that part of what's blocking the connection right now is that the divine masculine just hasn't fully embraced the magical aspect of this, that there is magic at play, that there is some divine amazingness that's at play that they just haven't recognized yet because they're not seeing clearly, okay? So it could just be literally that the divine masculine, it could be this week that they start to really see it, that like it becomes that point where they just can't deny it anymore. I'm not sure if you've ever had that experience where it's just that, where the signs and synchronicities, we've talked about this before, where I've mentioned driving down the highway and seeing a truck next to my car where it had my divine masculine's last name on the door, and I was like, okay, Spirit, seriously? Like where you just can't deny it anymore, where it becomes so obvious that you kind of have that moment of surrender where you're like, okay, fine, I see it, I get it now. Like I'm not hiding, I'm not running from it anymore. I feel like that's what's happening, and that someone, maybe both people, one person more than the other, is not seeing things clearly, but now it's going to start to happen. I really get that this week is going to be very instrumental, and people are going to start seeing some major shifts because it's like this clarity is going to come. So what is the advice? We got a clear fairy and a clear solution and a miracle. You guys, I am telling you that shit is gonna get clear this week. I really feel like for a lot of people that it's gonna be that aha moment, that suddenly things are gonna freaking make sense. Things that have been blocked, things that have not been clear for a long time are gonna start suddenly making sense. People are gonna start seeing things in a way that they haven't seen them in the past, that they haven't seen them before, and it's gonna be like, boom. Now I freaking get it. Now it makes sense. Now I understand. I really get that the advice is like Spirit saying, like, allow this clear solution to come through. Whatever you have to do. Again, if it's like meditating, if it's just allowing, if it's surrendering, if it's sitting quietly in a meditative space, whatever it is that you need to do, the Spirit guides you to do, take that, because a clear solution wants to come through. You've just got to allow the space for it to come through. A miracle is on the way. Open yourself to the miracle. Literally say out loud, Spirit, I open myself to the miracles to come through in my life. I open myself to a clear solution coming in this experiencing. Literally, put your arms, I'm doing like the power pose right now. My arms are wide open and I'm literally saying, Spirit, I am open to clear solutions. Speak clear solutions. Give me the clear solution that I need. I'm open to miracles. Literally do that. Allow yourself to be in that space of allowing the miracles to come through, because they want to. It's literally right there at our fingertips. We just have to allow space for it. So let me move this aside. And I want to see what's going on in with the counterpart of the person who is watching. So I'm just going to do 3 cards. What's going on in their physical, mental, and emotional space. So what's going on in their physical space, what's going on in their mental space, and what's going on in their emotional space. Wow. This is the Wisdom of the Hidden Realms by Colette Baron Reed. So what's going on in their physical space? It says the Ice Queen. Let me put this in the middle. The Ice Queen. It's saying that they're physically they're blocked. This card is about block, okay? It's something is being blocked right now. It could be literally like they could be experiencing, this is for your counterpart. So those of you that are watching, whether you're divine feminine or divine masculine, what's going on in your counterpart space is that something is being blocked, but it's being blocked for their highest good. It's like they may be hoping for some kind of forward movement in the physical. It's like they could be wanting some kind of, they want something to happen, but it's not happening, and they're maybe feeling frustrated by it, but it's because it's not supposed to happen right now. It's supposed to, things are not supposed to be moving forward in some way right now, because they need to have some kind of insight, miracle. So it could be that they've been like really hoping for like a job or some kind of opportunity to come forward, and it hasn't yet, and they're like, what the hell's going on here? Well, it's because it's not time right now. What's happening is it's not supposed to happen right now. If they got the job or the relationship or the promotion, or they were able to move, it wouldn't be in their highest good. It would be premature. It wouldn't allow them to have the lesson that they're supposed to have right now. It's like Spirit is really trying to get them to focus on something, and because of that, they're really limiting what's happening in their physical world. Okay, so in their mental space, it's the Ringmaster of Scrutiny in reverse. So this is saying that they are, again, in their mental space, they're not seeing things clearly. It's like they need to observe their situation a little more clearly. They need to look with some discernment. They need to look with some use their intuition. It's like mentally they're not seeing the flaws in the foundation that they have built. So this could be with a physically in their mental, this is the mental space, so it could be in their life that they have not yet seen the limits that they've created with karmic situation, jobs, whatever. It's like they're just not seeing it clearly. They're not seeing the flaws that they have built on something that can't sustain. They're not seeing it yet. They need to see that more clearly. It's saying, look, pay attention, look at things clearly. Don't blind yourself any further. Let yourself see things as they truly are, instead of seeing things as you want to see them. But then they're also in their emotional space. They're in the space of the High Lady of Love and Compassion. This is about they're coming into this space emotionally, that they're starting to understand that only love is real. Everything else is an illusion. Everything else is. I kind of see like their house of cards, mentally, emotionally, physically, is kind of falling apart. That they're kind of starting to see that they've bought and sold themselves lies and mistruths, and they haven't been really seeing things as they truly are. But now they're starting to understand that only love is real, that everything else is illusion, everything else is false, and they're starting to really get some clarity on that emotionally, and it's really putting them into a space of having some reverence, some compassion, really starting to see things in a different light. It could even be that they're starting to understand that their divine counterpart was the one who really loved them, and they're starting to see things more clearly. It's a really beautiful message right now. So let's move this aside, and I want to use the This is the Lover's Oracle by Tony Carmine Salerno. Just get some messages, some messages for the watcher from their divine counterpart, please. Ooh. I dropped one behind here, so I need to move and get it really quick. And apparently there's an F-15 flying overhead right now, so if you can hear that. So the first message that came through, trust. Transformation occurs through acceptance. Once you accept the current situation, it will automatically transform. The next message, wow. Sacred union. Honor and treasure your relationship, for it is truly sacred. That is beautiful. Their higher self wants you to know that they're recognizing it, and they want you to really honor and treasure it as well. The next message, if you could do anything, what would it be? The answer dwells in your heart, not in your mind, for the heart is the gateway to the soul. Get into your heart space, guys. Really make an effort to stay in your heart space this week. And the final message, don't make decisions based on guilt or what you think you should do, for it is only in being true to yourself that you can be true to others. Beautiful. Very beautiful messages. So that's your twin flame reading for this week. I hope that it helps. Again, please feel free to reach out to me for a private reading if you feel led to do so. I'd love to support you along the way, and I hope you all have a great week. Take care. Bye.